I mean, not very long ago were giants here on Earth that were running things, and now it is their offspring that look human that rule over us still. What do you think of that?
Well, I think that there is a hidden history that has been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world. And I say that, I think I've already said it once, but I'm saying it again, because that's exactly, what, send me a link on that too. I'd like to nose around on that and look into that a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
When you go to these sites and we look at the sites, immediately we realize that, something's not adding up here. We're looking at technology that just doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's just the pictures I just showed you, how did they move those stones 20, 30, 80, 100 stones? How did they move them? How did they carve them? How did they fit them together with ashlar construction, no mortar? And those cuts go all the way through the rock, and they're embedded into the hillside, which is why they're still there after thousands of years. And no one knows who built it. And whoever did took the tools with them. So, when you get into nephilim architecture, it's just like the UFOs that we see. There are nuts and bolts. Bob Lazar worked on them. It is real craft. It's not some kind of demonic delusion. There's real craft there. There is technology all throughout the biblical prophetic narrative. One just needs to look for it. I'll just give you one example. Take the flaming sword. Take the flaming sword that turns every which way in the garden. What is that? What is that? And I'll just let it hang in the air.
Hey yo, welcome to the Godcast.
Nothing is as it seems. Nothing. I mean, literally, nothing is as it seems.
We took authority for truth instead of truth as our authority.
The great deception is still to come.
Not every human you see is human.
A lot of us equate our value in life to the things that we have or the things we're able to acquire. And not the things that we're able to pass on.
But just sharing this story allows those people who are just starting out to recognize that there's somewhere to go.
Do you find solidarity within the differences, or do you find division within the similarities?
And it was a battle for my soul.
Worship in a mosh pit.
It's Nuck if you buck means the gospel. What's up now?
Welcome to Godcast,
the Goodness Over Darkness podcast.
Here's your host, Emmanuel Kingman.
It's showtime. What is going on, everybody? I am your host, Emmanuel Kingman, and here with me is the researcher, the fallen angel technology and Nephilim architecture destroyer, Mimi.
I don't know why you do that. Hello.
Well, I don't know.
It just makes me laugh every time. Every intro.
That is one of the goals. So, on today's episode, we had on special guest LA Marzulli. And man, this was a great episode. We're going to keep the intro short. We will be doing a breakdown of the conversation at the outro, so make sure you stay tuned after the interview for that. But make sure you go check out all of our guest stuff, his YouTube channel LA Marzulli, his website on the trail with la.com, and I know it's also streaming.lamarzulli.net is also another one of his websites. So go check out all of his stuff. He's on Roku, he's on BitChute, he's on Rumble. He's everywhere. You can search his name on podcasts and you can find him everywhere. Make sure you go do that. Check out my website, emmanuelkingman.com. That's IMMANUEL Kingman.com. You can sign up for the Patreon, which is patreon.com/ or / I don't even know. Goodness Over Darkness. Just search Goodness Over Darkness on Patreon and you'll be able to find it. All the links are, of course, in the description. And without further ado, here is LA Marzulli.
Welcome to the Godcast.
cross up on my back, I'm slaying demons. It don't matter what you call that. Searching for the truth, facts are facts until they fall flat. It's looking like a story, man, it's all cap. But it's goodness over darkness, it ain't all bad. I'm at my maker, but I was called back. Emmanuel, show my people they're under a spell. Heaven or hell is free will. I made my choice and now it's well with my soul. I pray the same for you as well. Welcome to the Godcast. Welcome to the Godcast.
Hello, everybody. On today's episode, I have on a legendary researcher, author, lecturer, and filmmaker. He is author of 13 books, including On the Trail of the Nephilim, Volumes 1 and 2, and has produced 21 documentaries. Everybody welcome LA Marzulli to the show. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Hello.
Hey, I'm good. I'm good.
It is excellent to be here with you. I mean, you're a man who doesn't really need much introduction. You are very popular in the circles that I look at anyway. So I am very honored and humbled to have you on my show.
Well, thanks to Michelle. Here we are, and I'm honored to be here, guys. So, yeah.
Well, so would you like to introduce yourself to my audience a little bit about how you became a born-again Christian and how you got into the Nephilim and fallen angels?
Well, that's the whole show.
Just a brief of bit, if you will.
I'm having a little bit of tickle in my throat, so I'm taking one of these fisherman's friends. So I apologize ahead of time for any slobbering noises that you might hear. Here's the bottom line. I was raised Catholic, and I left the church when I was 13. Completely disillusioned with the Catholic Church. Just like, there was a lot of mumbo jumbo to me. There was no connection. It seemed dead. Now, I wouldn't be able to articulate it like that then, but I just knew I didn't want anything to do with it. This is circa 1963. The Beatles are there. A few years later, they introduce Eastern mysticism. And I mean, by then, I'm 16. I'm reading Peter Tompkins' Secrets of the Great Pyramid. I'm looking into Ouspensky stuff. I'm checking out Madame Blavatsky. I'm doing Carlos Castaneda books and doing my own vision quests. I mean, I'm in deep. And a few years after that, I was with a guru for 3 years in the ashram. Third eye was open, inner music, the whole 9 yards. I would meditate. I gave up everything and wound up in the guru's orchestra because I was a musician. I still am a musician. I was playing synthesizer and I was writing and composing for the 56-piece orchestra, which was way better than going to college because you could actually hear stuff back. It was amazing. And did real well with that. I became completely disillusioned with the guru and left. So now I'm about 24. So from 24 to 30, I'm kind of an agnostic. Well, maybe I'll do a vision quest, and I would smoke some marijuana and just go right out. I had spirit guides. I had all sorts of crazy stuff happen. When I was 30, I read a book by Dave Hunt, and I think it was called The Cult Explosion. And on the back of it, I mean, basically he outlines all these different cults that are now prevalent in America: Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, Guru Maharaji, EST or S as it was called, Silva Mind Control. I had explored or actually been involved in most of it. So at the ripe age of 30, I'm reading Dave Hunt's book. And in the back of it's this little goofy prayer to give your life to Jesus and everything will be hunky-dory. And so, no one was hitting me over the head with a Bible, nothing like that. And I said the prayer. I just said, look, if you're real, come into my life, because my life's a train wreck. And it was an utter train wreck. And about a month later, I awakened, and I was living with a woman. We weren't married. So, welcome to the 70s and the 80s, right? Welcome to the free love generation of the 60s. We didn't care. And I was crying uncontrollably like the dam had finally burst. And a lot of stuff came out that night. And 2 weeks later, she was gone. And basically, when the dam broke, the enemy, the Holy Spirit started to take me out of the kingdom of darkness. And the enemy did not want to let go, did not want to let me go. It was 3 years of spiritual warfare. I basically lived a monastic existence. I became a worship leader. I was completely celibate for 3 years, no dating, nothing like that at all. Let's erase all that. And then the Lord said, okay, go find a wife. And that was a few months later. Peggy and I were engaged, and it's been 37 years with her. We have 2 children and 1 granddaughter. And for 10 years, I was a worship leader. I was immersed in biblical studies. If the church was open, I was there, type of deal. I couldn't get enough of it. Couldn't get enough of it. At 10 years into this, the Lord began to go, hey, remember where you just came from? Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to go back and revisit that, but from a Christian perspective. And I was kind of, huh? And that began the research, which led to all of this. 2 more stories that go with that. Around my 10th year as a Christian, I was vexed and had been vexed for 10 years because I didn't understand the flood of Noah, the confusion at the Tower of Babel. I was angry about Abraham and the 5 kings. I was really ticked off about the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. And finally, when the children of Israel go into the promised land, I'm just going, that's it. We got to have 2 gods here. Somebody made a mistake. We got Jesus. I get the Jesus thing. Totally get it. Wonderful. Love it. But the God of the Old Testament, nah, got to be 2 different guys. Maybe somebody made a mistake. And that's what I believed till I got Dr. I.D.E. Thomas's book, The Omega Conspiracy. And what that book did was open up what happened, why it happened. And this isn't taught in the churches for the most part.
Right.
So people like me get to the part of Noah's flood and we go, wait a minute, wait. He's destroying the entire planet except for 8 people? That's genocide. Who is this nutcase? That's what you think. Mm-hmm. This guy is, I don't want anything to do with this guy, right? I don't understand it. And you don't until you plug the Nephilim in. And once you plug the fallen angels of a Nephilim into the equation, it's like a series of dominoes. The entire Bible, it unlocks the scripture. It unlocks the biblical narrative in ways that are absolutely profound, totally profound. It's not taught in the churches. Churches don't do it. So people walk around, oh yeah, the children of Israel, Joshua and and Caleb and the walls of Jericho, they all came tumbling down and killed everybody. And that's what it sounds like. It sounds like genocide. Well, it's not. It's a Nephilim stronghold. The Nephilim stronghold. And the Nephilim, for your listeners who don't know, are the progeny, the offspring of the fallen angelic host and the women of earth. I have a show which you can watch on my YouTube channel, LA Marzulli. It was posted yesterday, Tuesday. It's the first show. It's the primer that will air this Friday on the PTO network. We've now committed to a half hour every single Friday, 11 o'clock Eastern time, 8 o'clock Pacific time. The show is called On the Trail of a Nephilim. The website is onthetrailwithla.com. 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 We'll be posting all the shows there. And we're really excited about it. Show number 1 is Nephilim 101. Show number 1 is the primer, because I'm figuring that people that watch this, what's this Nephilim stuff he's talking about? It's like Homer Simpson, with all due respect. They don't know. And so people, this is, why do we need to know about this, LA? Because it opens up the rest of the biblical narrative. I say this on my daily show. There is a hidden history that has been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world. And that's why I am on the trail. Because what this does, and you know what? Let me end the little rant by saying this. Jesus tells us, be like the days of Noah when he returns. That's like a cosmic flare going up with 20 starbursts Hey, look at this. Look at this. You got to look. Go back. Go back. Look at this. No one does. Yeah, if you like the days of Noah, I wonder what that means. I don't know. What's for the Wednesday night potluck? It's just like, you want to just scream. Men will faint from fear for what is coming upon the earth. Even the elect would be deceived if that were possible. Satan comes with all signs and lying wonders. Because they did not believe the truth, God sends them strong delusion that they might believe the lie. Welcome to my wheelhouse. Welcome to where we are, because that's where we are. It is just like the days of Noah right now. Is there going to be a flood, LA? No, not a flood, but they're coming back, and they're already here. Mm-hmm. And our government now has declared that UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, are real. Oh, by the way, our government has in their possession, drum roll, please. Thank you, appreciate that. That we have in our possession, our government has in their possession, off-world vehicles not made on this earth. Pray tell, where are they made? And more importantly, who is driving the thing and where are the hubcaps created? Are you kidding me? And no one does anything. I mean, I was on Hagman Report this morning, and Coach Dave Dobbenmeyer was filling in for Doug. And I said I was on fire because it's maddening that the church is asleep, and they shouldn't be. The church should be the tip of the spear, and it's not. And there was a well-known Bible commentator / theologian. He was at a conference, and someone said, "Well, what are your thoughts about the Nephilim and UFOs?" And this guy goes, "Oh, it's foolishness." Is it really? Is it really foolishness, sir? I'll debate you anytime, anywhere.
Right.
Place. Let's do it.
Well, I'm so glad that you said all of those things, because I've been going through exactly what you described in the last 3 years, that I woke up suddenly, spiritually speaking, and I had my third eye opened, and I gained all these psychic powers immediately. And since last year, Jesus Christ saved me, and it's been spiritual warfare ever since. It has been really, I mean, I feel physical things grab me. The abduction phenomena I experienced my entire life stopped the moment he saved me, and I was in bliss for 10 straight days. Just this love that I had. And then I came to the point where I'm like, well, they have to be two different gods. I only know the all-loving Jesus. I don't know and then what happens is I'm doing this podcast, and I'm like, all right, I want to learn about the Anunnaki. And what falls in my lap is the Book of Enoch. And it's like, no, learn this. I learned that, and then the Nephilim, and it's like, wow, everything that you talk about is exactly what I talk about on my podcast, on my social media. And I sound like a crazy guy because I go to UFO people, I go to religious people, I go to conspiracy theorists, and I'm like, look, the Great Deception is coming. It is still to come, and it is gonna be the fallen angels. Like all the UFO technology, all the aliens that you hear about, they're all either fallen angels or the product of fallen angels, whether the Nephilim or they created them with their DNA and our DNA, or the DNA of the beasts, birds, and reptiles, as it says in the Bible in the Book of Enoch. And I tell everybody, I'm like, it's really simple. It's actually in the Bible. All of this is what has been predicted, that the technology is that they're coming through, and so on and so forth. So I love that you're the preeminent guy to talk to about the Nephilim and the fallen angels, and that you opened up the show here and talked about all the things I've been talking about. And it's just like, a confirmation after confirmation.
Well, it's and obviously I'm going to say you're probably what, 32, 33?
On the nose, 32, yeah.
Okay. So, it's I'm 71. All
right. You look great.
Thank you. But hair's getting very thin, but we won't go there. Bottom line is this: I don't know how many years I have left on this planet. I would like to think that the rapture is going to happen, but I don't know that, and it's none of my business. It's none of my business when he calls me up. Right. It's his business. My business is somehow to keep my hand on the plow and go forward. But it's guys like you that give me hope, because you're going to carry the torch. When I go, whenever that time is, if he tarries, let's say I live another 10 years. Well, now I'm 81, and Lord takes me home. somebody needs to carry the torch. And I know that people like you are going to carry the torch. People like you are going to continue the research. I mean, Dr. I.D.E. Thomas's book, The Omega Conspiracy, that book changed my life. He became a mentor of sorts in all things Nephilim. He was the God. That's what I built on. Tom Horn built on Dr. Thomas. Mike Heiser built on Dr. Thomas. All of us, anybody at all who got into this, that was our primer. That was our springboard. And, you know, I got my doctorate, honorary doctorate from Dr. I.D.E. Thomas. Tom Horn got his from Dr. I.D.E. Thomas. And I think if Dr. Thomas saw the body of work that's been created, that we've accomplished here at our ministry, Spiral of Life, I think he'd be blown away. I mean, I think we've taken it, you know, he handed it off to me on the 5-yard line or something, and we've taken it down, you know, we're on the enemy's 20-yard line. You know, we are. We've taken it that far. There are basically 21 films, many of them deal with the Nephilim, 13 books, pretty much all of them in some way reference the Nephilim. If not, I mean, this is 600 pages. If Dr. Thomas saw this, and he never did, unfortunately, he passed away before it was published. That's 600 pages right there.
Wow.
And, you know, look what it's got. My discovery out on Catalina Island. Look at the elongated skull.
So, that's amazing.
You know, and then our DNA research with the elongated skulls and of Peru, and you can see them in the background there. Those aren't real. Those are models, one-to-one models, exposing Sacsayhuaman, all the Nephilim sites. And now, you know, we're doing this half-hour show on the PTL Jim Baker Network every Friday. I'm really excited about that because all of a sudden, you know, we're in a possibility of 9 million homes. Not that nobody, not 9 million are watching it. But you know what? If 50,000, I'll just take 50,000. If 50,000 people are watching that, wow.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, especially I heard you on his show, and he said he wasn't very familiar with it, and he's been in the Christian Bible for a very long time, and it's not something he was ever really taught about. So it's amazing that you are able to reach people who don't know, because it is vastly important. Like I said, I experienced the abduction phenomenon my entire life, and it's not something I really remembered until I was spiritually woken up, and then doing psychedelics and meditations of, you know, just looking in my psyche and trying to see my memories, and I started to remember things that I was terrified of my windows. I was terrified of my backyard, nighttime, that I had Nathaniel Gillis on not too long ago, and that uncovered more memories for me that I remember I saw a gray alien when I was 7 years old in my closet, and that might have been the first time that I saw it or something. But then I started keeping my closet full with junk so that I never had to open it because I was terrified. And there are so many different things that go with it, but where
are you located, Emmanuel?
So right now I'm in Georgia, but I was in Philadelphia. So I just moved down to Georgia in 2020. So I was in Philly, just outside of Philly, for the first 30 years of my life.
Yeah. I'd actually like to interview you and get your testimony.
Oh yeah, I would definitely give it to you.
Like, you know, switch things here. Let me interview you, because that, I mean, if you've seen our free UFO film, you can go to my channel on YouTube, LA Marzulli. And if you open up the text box below any of the videos and you scroll down, free UFO video. We spent a lot of time, a lot of money on this video. And Al Matthews has been abducted. And, you know, this is a free video. I can't do more than that. I'm working on part 2. Part 2 will be out soon. And then part 3, 4, and 5, we're going to charge for. UFO Disclosure, The Coming Great Deception of Luciferian Endgame. I would like to get your testimony if you're up for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That would really be great.
Yeah. So actually, I have these goggles that I got, and I heard you say this about Al Matthews, and then I checked out the video, and he was talking about this woman was wearing goggles. Now I had just bought these. These are supposed to see auras. They're supposed to help you see auras, from They Live, something like that.
Right.
And as soon as he said like wraparound goggles, dark goggles. I was like, whoa, I wonder if it was something like this that the person was wearing to help them see in a different way. Like it's a very strange phenomena of, yeah, I never seen anyone with shape shifting eyes in front of me. That would freak me out. I have other weird stuff, but this whole phenomena of alien, well, we use the word alien, but hybrid,
Yeah.
hybrid humans, it's a very strange thing. Like I distinctly remember seeing very distinct people at supermarkets down in Georgia months after I left Philly, when I distinctly remember seeing those people, because they were like, 6'7", the one guy was, someone else was like 400 pounds. It's like they're very distinct looking people, and I saw them up there, and then I saw them down here months later, and it's like, why do I know you guys from somewhere? It's a weird thing that we're in here.
I had a woman that gave me a testimony, and I read it on air a while back. She was in Walmart, and what people don't understand, when you read Dr. David Jacobs' book, Walking Amongst Us, okay, Walking Amongst Us, and Dr. David Jacobs says that they're integrating the hybrids late at night, but not always late at night, but usually late at night. And they do this in Walmarts at like 2 or 3 in the morning, because nobody's up except for strange people. And at that point, you can pass, because there's other strange people there at 3 o'clock in the morning running around the house of Walmart. So this woman is in Walmart, but it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And this gigantic woman goes past her. She's like 5'6". She comes up to the woman's hip.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this woman was like 10 feet tall. And everybody's going like this. And she was proportioned, very, very pretty, apparently. Wore boots. I mean, dressed elegantly. And everyone in the store was just flipping out. So, I get stories like this from time to time from people. It's happening. It'll be like the days of Noah. They're already here. We should probably take a film crew into the local Walmart at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Like the people of Walmart.
See what we can see there,
Yeah. Okay, so all right, so you coined this term. I don't know if you coined it, but I heard you say it many times: fallen angel technology and nephilim architecture.
Yep, that's my phrase.
Okay, so what is the fallen angel technology, and then we'll get into the Nephilim architecture afterwards.
So whoever built this is Oyesintambo. Whoever built that, right?
Wow.
And this, Sacsayhuaman.
Okay.
See the people?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's Ron Moorhead. See that big cornerstone?
Yeah.
Probably 120 tons, something like that.
It's incredible.
So whatever it is, the Inca did not do this.
Right.
There's no way. But they'll insist that they did, even though the conquistadors, when they asked the Inca, who built this, the Inca said, we don't know. We're sure when we got here. We are looking at technology that molded that rock, that connected the rock. And let me show you, look at this so you can get a close-up.
Yeah, perfect. Perfectly layered.
So look at the curves. Look at that. We are looking at a technology that we don't have today. I've taken this to stonemasons. I've taken it to architects, engineers. They all ask nervously. Well, we might be able to do it with diamond saws and cranes and, laser beams and blah, 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 blah. But they don't have that thousands of years ago down in Peru now, do they? It's not there. It's not there. So what are we looking at? When I brought people to there, I'm not really doing too many tours. I just don't have a time for it. I'd rather do research and create. Tours are great, but you're with people and you can't really, you're tied down. But when I was there, I had people, I've been there 3 times or four times, whatever it is, actually more than that. But I've had people touch the wall and I go, what you are touching are the fingerprints of the supernatural. What you are touching is fallen angel technology, Nephilim architecture. The technology comes from fallen angels, and the Nephilim architecture, they were using it. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that all these sites, which are global, by the way, and that's why Lost Civilizations #7 in our Armor Trail of a Nephilim series. I mean, we take you all over the place in that, absolutely all over the place. There's a Western expansion. We take you into the Cairn at Gilgal Raphaim with Mondo Gonzalez, our team's resident archaeologist and the co-host over at Prophecy Watchers. That's what we do. And, we've been everywhere, but not everywhere. But there's other places we wanted to go. COVID blew everything out of the water for 2 years now.
Right.
We're not done this thing yet. Things are still locked down over there. We want to get back into Europe and specifically to several places over there in Europe. But, who knows the way things are going.
Right. Okay. So this brings up my research has really gone into the covered up history of what was here, and not just in America but all over the place, and it goes into what is Tartaria. Have you ever heard of Tartaria?
What is that again?
Tartaria.
No.
So it's a conspiracy theory. It's new that it was this place that was in Eurasia named Tartary or Grand Tartary or Tartaria, and it was covered up by the USSR and communist China. It has to do with the Great Wall of China is actually facing the wrong way for what mainstream history tells us, that it was probably keeping something else. It's all like, it's very strange, but it gets into all this architecture, and the architecture still exists today in government buildings, museums, and so on and so forth. They tell us is Greco-Roman, but when you look at the photographs in the 1800s, when they say it was built, they were using horse and buggy, or horse and cart to build these things, and it's like that doesn't make sense. And it goes into the World's Fairs as being a cover-up of destroying the old world that was everywhere, and so many different things. But it's this architecture that is impossible, that has really fascinated me so much, and Christ has led me into understanding that it wasn't that long ago that they were here. I mean, not very long ago were giants here on Earth that were running things, and now it is their offspring that look human that rule over us still. What do you think of that?
Well, I think that there is a hidden history that has been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world. And I say that, I think I've already said it once, but I'm saying it again, because that's exactly, what, send me a link on that too. I'd like to nose around on that and look into that a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
When you go to these sites and we look at the sites, immediately we realize that, something's not adding up here. We're looking at technology that just doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's just the pictures I just showed you, how did they move those stones 20, 30, 80, 100 tons? How did they move them? How did they carve them? How did they fit them together with ashlar construction, no mortar? And those cuts go all the way through the rock, and they're embedded into the hillside, which is why they're still there after thousands of years. And no one knows who built it. And whoever did took the tools with them. So, when you get into Nephilim architecture, it's just like the UFOs that we see. There are nuts and bolts. Bob Lazar worked on them. It is real craft. It's not some kind of demonic delusion. There's real craft there. There is technology all throughout the biblical prophetic narrative. One just needs to look for it. I'll just give you one example. Take the flaming sword. Take the flaming sword that turns every which way in the garden. What is that? What is that? And I'll just let it hang in the air.
A lightsaber?
What you tell me.
Yeah.
You tell me what that is. And this is what you see. Most Christians, we've got this real truncated view of the supernatural, and we put everything into a box. I'll give you one more hint. All right. What is it that when the angels go in the book of Ezekiel, right? And one of them, two of the angels have a slaughter weapon. What's
Wow.
the slaughter weapon?
Could have been.
You can't take that because this is the basis of a new book I'm working on.
Have you ever heard of the fasci?
Dr. Fiasco, you mean?
No, no, not that weapon. Actually, his last name means sickle in Sicilian. No, it's a fasci or fasci, Fasci, and it is it's depicted in what I was just saying, like this stuff from the 1800s and all. It's depicted as I wish I had something to show you at the moment, but if you look it up, you'll be able to see it's. A lot of people think it might have been an energy weapon that they carried around, and it looks like bows are coming out of. I forget what you would wear around you to have the bows in the back, but
Arrows.
yeah, but the thing that holds it. But it looks similar.
A quiver.
Yeah, it looks similar to that, but it's like a hammer or something on the end of it. And it goes into the sickle and hammer of the communist, and
right.
It's a very weird thing. So if you look up the fasci, that kind of, your stuff really helps along this other thing that I'm talking about here with the 1800s and into the 1900s. What was going on was a cover up of some sort, and I think that directed energy weapons that's what these things were kind of for. It's like Europeans were using it, and it's depicted on all sorts of things like coins, different maps, and so many weird different things that you would find history on, depicted on.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'll definitely send you some of that. But okay, so now I wanted to talk to you about the mounds and the mound builders, because we look at these mounds, and I mean, it's just, they tell us like, oh, they're just big things of dirt. But to me, I'm like, oh, it's a pyramid that is not in pyramid form anymore, or something to that degree. What's your take on the mounds and who built them?
Well, we've got several films on the mound builders. We've got Mysterious Mound Builders. That's episode 1 of On the Trail of a Nephilim. Then Mathematical Mysteries of the Mound Builders. And the third one is Secrets of a Supernatural, Voices from the Other Side. So, and we're not done yet. I mean, that's why we're on the trail. There were 10,000 mounds alone in Ohio. And I'd just like to thank my friend Fritz Zimmerman, who served as our tour guide and showed us a lot of these places, and then appears in the films, all the films. Look, these are Nephilim architecture, fallen angel technology all day long. Native Americans did not build these. They may have used them as secondary burial sites for internment of their dead. They didn't build them. There's advanced mathematics. Let's just talk about the Great Circle Mound. It's 1,250 feet in diameter. Okay, so there's a moat. The interior of that circle mound is a moat that goes all the way around it. Some of the dirt is piled 20 feet high. It's compacted very, very tightly. How was that done? I hired a surveyor. We're one of the only teams that ever did this, to go into the circle mound and measure the bottom of that moat to see how level it was. Well, he came up and he basically said, for all practical purposes, it was level. Now, there's a lot of slough that's come into it over the thousands of years, but for all practical purposes, the thing was level. So I said, well, how do you think they did that in the ancient world? There are no surveying tools. And he said, well, water. So here you've got a bunch of so-called hunter-gatherers, right? They don't have shovels, they don't have picks. So the archaeologists, they're using digging sticks and clamshells. You go out there and take your stupid digging stick and your goofy clamshell and see how far you get. In fact, we actually had a flint knapper make a replica of a stone hoe. And we got a guy out there with a hoe. We show this in the film, right? And he's out there with the hoe, and then he's taking the dirt and putting it into a bucket, not a basket. We let him use a metal bucket with his hands because they don't have a shovel, and then he's carrying it to where the mound was supposed to be. Well, it would take to do the dirt at, let's say, Poverty Point, which is one of the second largest mounds in the United States, it would take 28 million single buckets, roughly. It's an estimate. 27 to 28 million single buckets of earth. The whole thing just collapses of its own weight. But the archaeologists insist that Native Americans, did this over hundreds of years. It's just a bunch of hooey. And when you go and you push back against the narrative, they have all the answers for everything because they all went to the same schools and they all got fed the same narrative, and they all just spew out, the pablum that they're taught. No one's thinking, or very few people were thinking. And I know I got a really bad name in archaeological circles. They don't like me at museums. If they find out Marzulli is here or he wants to do DNA testing, the labs won't take my stuff. That's called discrimination, because they don't like the results that they get, because it goes against the narrative. So when you actually press back and you go, let me get this straight. Did Native Americans know about the 18.5-year Metonic cycle? Well, we don't know about that. They must have known it because it's there. That's called a straw man argument, with all due respect, sir. If they know about it, the 18.5-year lunar cycle, surely they would have passed that tradition down orally from grandfather to son to grandfather and on and on. They would have done that. They know about the giants, and all the tribes have that in their oral tradition. It's there and it's handed down. But guess what? Nothing about the 18.5-year lunar cycle. Why? Because they didn't know about it. Europeans didn't know about it for the most part. For the most part. All of these sites, most of these sites, I shouldn't say all, but most, are built on an 18.5-year lunar cycle. Why is that so important? Because the dragon, Satan, the fallen angel, right? The guy who created all this nonsense to begin with, they're obsessed with it. They are absolutely obsessed with it. And they use it as part of their signature. Literally, it's part of their signature. Serpent iconography is used globally. Why the serpent? Why do we see serpents? And let's just go to Chichen Itza and down in the Yucatan. So we've got the pyramid, right, that comes down, and on the equinoxes, we see the undulating serpent slithering down the side of the pyramid to a huge stone serpent head with its mouth open and fangs showing at the bottom. Why did they do that? More importantly, who showed them how to do that and the technology that went into it? Why is it that in the Great Serpent Mound in Ohio, you can only see it from the air? So when you're down looking at the mound, you have no idea what you're looking at. Very unimpressive. When you take the drone and you go up, 600, 700, 800 feet, it's like, oh my gosh, it's a serpent with its mouth open. And I actually wrote a paper, The Serpent Mound, the Great Serpent Mound, A New Paradigm. It was based on the talk that Gary Stearman did. So look, this stuff is what it is. It's everywhere. And it points back to the biblical narrative. It points back to a supernatural worldview. And that's why the academics hate it. The Darwinists hate it, because it's blowing their cover. The New Agers hate it, because we've got the answers. It's all right there in the Bible. Mm-hmm. It's amazing how many people who think, and there's something, I say it all the time, if you think you know him, but you don't know him, then you don't know him. If you think you know Jesus personally, but you have no personal relationship with him, then you don't know him. If you think you've read the Bible and you've studied the Bible, but you've never really read the Bible, then you don't know anything about it. Then just be honest and shut up. Don't start lecturing us about. It's like there was a show I watched recently, and Eric Von Daniken was on talking about Genesis 6 in the Book of Enoch. Took the text completely out of context. Completely out of context. It was such nonsense, I couldn't believe it. And I actually addressed it on my show. He's welcome here anytime he wants on my show. Defend your position. How can you possibly say that the sons of God doesn't have any sons? You don't even know what it says. You're talking about the B'nai Ha-Elohim, which always refers to the fallen angelic host, or the angelic hosts, who were the sons of God. It's a term. It's a biblical term. But Von Daniken doesn't know that. And then he takes the Book of Enoch and he twists that. So, it's like, don't tell me you know it when you don't know it, when you've never studied it. And you have no idea, as the late Chuck Missler used to say, how it's an integrated message system. Because it is. It's an integrated message system. What we read in Genesis travels all the way through into the book of Revelation. Who do we think the son of perdition is? The son of perdition. The son of perdition. It's the Antichrist. It's literally the seed of a serpent. It is, with all due respect to people who don't believe this, it is Rosemary's Baby. That's what it is.
Are you familiar with the term Amaruca?
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Yeah, so America, it's alleged that, what's his name? Vespucci, Amerigo Vespucci, it's
Yeah.
named after, well, that's probably nonsense because Amaruca means the land of the serpent. And it was called this way before any Europeans came over here. And it's very hard to find information on. I'm not going to, act like there's a ton of stuff out there, but it makes a lot of sense when you start talking about the Serpent Mound in the middle of Ohio.
Yeah,
And
what's that doing there?
yeah, I mean, that's just crazy. And what you're saying with this 18.5-year moon cycle, like there's, I was talking about for a while, the 19-year sleep cycle that the rulers of the realm would put us in. It was World War II, then 19 years later, JFK is killed. Then 19 years later, Reagan shot. 19 years later is 9/11. 19 years later is COVID-19. It's this sleep cycle that they put us in, this mass hypnosis that they've performed on us. So I'm sure that lines up right with that 18.5-year moon cycle, or right, very close with it, because it is all about the dragon. It is all about the deception. And they're either, like you said, they have a Darwinistic viewpoint. There's Satanists who have infiltrated science, or Luciferians who have infiltrated science. So many different reasons, or New Agers, spiritual beliefs that my spirit guides are telling me that this is wrong. But it's very simple when you open the Bible, when you talk to Jesus on a regular basis. He makes it very simple, and he breaks it down for you little by little, so it's not big chunks, because sometimes when you're researching the stuff, you can get big chunks because you have the capacity for it. I can get big chunks in what I've researched because I have capacity for it. But someone who's just coming into it, he's going to walk you through it. So it's just really developing that relationship. So, okay, now back to you and your archaeological takes here. I know that you have found a skull and that you guys took DNA samples. And so what were the results of your DNA sample, and what was this skull? Was it a regular skull, or was it elongated?
Well, let me get the cast behind me, because that's what you need to see. Oh, so this is a replica, a 1-to-1 replica created by Joe Taylor.
Wow.
Of what this looks like. So it's like a hard plastic. So Joe went down and made a mold. So let's walk through it. So here we've got the orbits. Let's start right here. These orbits are 25 to 30% larger than a normal human being, for starters.
Yeah. It looks like a gray alien skull, in a sort of way.
The pupillary distance in a normal human being, the distance between the pupils, should be about 65 millimeters. Here they're 45 millimeters. Whatever this thing was, it more than likely could see in the dark. Look at the massive, massive brow.
Yeah.
Look at that. Compare it. Yeah. Right? You hold it right next to mine.
And even it's tiny width, but the length is just so.
It's a whole different deal. One of the smoking guns is right here. Now these are sutures that you see in the frontal plate. There's the frontal plate, right? So these sutures that you see should extend to the rear of the skull. They should go from here like this and come all the way back to the occipital plate, the rear plate. They don't. In fact, there's absolutely no vestige of it at all. Nothing. You don't even see a hint of a suture. So in a normal skull, you would have what is called the sagittal suture, which would go from the frontal plate right here all the way back like this, and dividing the two parietal plates. It doesn't do that. The smoking gun for us was this, and this is the work of our anthropologist on our team, Rick Woodward. This is called the foramen magnum right here, okay? And you can see this part, the white part right there, that's the modeling clay that he used to create the model. So he could stick a dowel in like this and mount the skull. But the actual foramen magnum, the actual outline is this, the outer edge that you see, like right there. So this is where the spinal column comes up and attaches to the skull. And this is called the foramen magnum. Okay? Right in there. All right. It should be here.
Wow.
Should be here.
So another like 3 inches forwards.
Yeah, not 3 inches, and in this skull about a good inch and a half.
Okay.
So the foramen magnum is all the way back to the occipital plate. If it's any further back, it's outside the skull, for crying out loud. See that?
Right.
So this was the smoking gun. This is the work of Rick Woodward. We showed this, and it's in episode 6 of On the Trail of the Nephilim. Again, you can stream it. Instant gratification, right? Go to onthetrailwithla.com, onthetrailwithla.com, download episode 6, and watch. It's over an hour long, and we get into all this specific. We don't have that kind of time, to talk about it in depth like this. But the bottom line is we have surgeons, medical doctors, chiropractors. We've got archaeologists, anthropologists, optometrists, all coming on the record, looking at these skulls and stating on the record, in the film, that whatever this is genetic. Whatever this was, it's something that's genetic. And that's what we believe it is. So the mitochondrial DNA came back, all of it, not all of it, but a lot of it showed a Middle Eastern connection. So the haplogroups, which come from the female side of the equation, points to Eastern European and the Middle East. The Black Sea area, the Middle Eastern area, including the Levant. We had one set of haplotypes that showed a Druze. I mean, that's right in the Levant. That's Middle East all day long. That's what it is. The Druze, are you kidding me? Eastern Europe, are you kidding me? So there is a hidden history that's been deliberately obfuscated from the people of the world. The labs didn't like it. The archaeologists in Peru didn't like our results. Oh, it's contaminated. It's contaminated. No, sir, it wasn't contaminated. Our protocols were very stringent and above board. We had 40, count them, over 40 changes of lab suits, okay, that were sent from the Canadian lab to me, which I put in another suitcase, and we flew it on the plane with us down to Peru. One suitcase full of lab equipment. So it was just, these are lab suits from toe to head to toe, double sleeves, masks, goggles, hairnet, double gloves, whole 9 yards. So when we handle the skull, we would change out of our lab suits, don new lab suits, go in, handle the skull, take the DNA, put it immediately into a sealed envelope, tag it and bag it, walk out of the room, change out of that lab suit, put new lab suits on, spray each other down with compressed air, and then do the same thing to skull number 2 or number 4 or number 5. We had 18 skulls.
Wow.
58 samples. There's another team that came down and they took 100 samples. Brian Forrester was directly involved in both of these. We were not in the team that took 100 samples. They got nuclear DNA, allegedly. And the nuclear DNA holds up my hypothesis that whatever this was not human. There's nothing in the gen bank at all which references the DNA that they found, because it was nuclear DNA from the paternal side. So immediately.
So what does nuclear mean, if you don't mind?
It's from the paternal side. Nuclear DNA is from the paternal
side.
Oh,
okay.
The other side of the equation. So the maternal side is, excuse me, the mitochondrial DNA. So the nuclear DNA is from the paternal side, the father. Nothing in the gen banks at all.
Wow.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And this bolsters our hypothesis that this was a Nephilim. And this right here, because of the eye sockets, 25 to 30% larger than a normal human being, because of the pupillary distance, they might have had the ability to see in the dark. Guess what? The Horites are one of the Nephilim tribes in the Levant at the conquest of Joshua and Caleb into the Holy Land. Horites means cave dwellers. I am not making this up. And then we found out that the Paracas people, they lived underground. And when I sat there in the reserve with another archaeologist, I said, how did they see underground? He had no answer. We don't know, LA. We don't know. Was there evidence of torchlight? No evidence of torchlight. So, you know what, Todd? There's a hidden history that's been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world. Every single person has a right to know what the truth is. And I say this all the time. You know, what is the truth? What is the truth? We have a right to know. All my research points back to the veracity and the validity of the biblical prophetic narrative.
Yeah. Okay. So, last question with that skull specifically is what's coming to mind when you say, is there evidence of torches or anything? It brings up to mind the pyramids and in Egypt, and they don't have any kinds of scorch marks or anything on there. Do you think that maybe this could have been the type of entity that was dwelling in the pyramids, or entering and exiting, with that would just have larger eyes, so a capacity to see in the dark?
I don't know, but I'll say that the
Okay.
Egyptians had nothing to do with the Great Pyramid.
Right. Okay.
Absolutely nothing to do with it.
Right.
That's such a bunch of hooey. Shame on Zawi Hawass. Pyramid. I mean, that guy just, please go away with your
Yeah.
bad self. Was it an energy source of energy? It's so mysterious. Egypt is so mysterious. And I wrote about this in I think it might be Countermove. That's the newest book, How the Nephilim Returned After the Flood. Here's something that you don't hear in school or in Bible colleges. When was the last time you ever heard a sermon on it? How is it that when Moses and Aaron show up in Pharaoh's court, and we all know the story, Moses takes his staff and he throws it down and it becomes a serpent. The Egyptian magicians go, piece of cake. They throw their staffs down, they become serpents. No one ever talks about that. I do. There is in Egypt at the time when Moses walks in there with Aaron, there is a full-blown occult paradigm in operation. It's the religion of the people. It's the religion of Pharaoh. They're totally tied in with the dragon. 100% tied in with the dragon. And all that's never talked about. It's completely overlooked for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part.
But do you know that it used to be a practice where they would put snakes to sleep? It would, and they would be as stiff as a rod, and then they could throw them down, and then they would wake up.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just heard that last week. I think on Blurry Creatures, when they had somebody on. So it's a lot of interesting things. So as we wind down here, what should people look out? Because I believe the Great Deception is very soon to happen. I believe there's a human faction involved in it that this quote unquote deep state is being taken out in assistance with this great deception. The fallen angels are going to present themselves as humanity's savior, and they're going to be this alien that I don't know. Somehow they're going to present themselves to us, whether it's Project Bluebeam or they're physical beings that are in front of us. Yes, 70-year cover-up exposed. So what should we look out for?
Well, I mean, there's all this stuff, whether it's Bluebeam or real or not. I think that when you get multiple mile-wide UFO craft over cities, that's the end game. It's over at that point. You thought COVID change the planet, wait till they show up. The entire planet changes. It will cause the great falling away, the apostasia that we see and hear about in 2 Thessalonians. It is the lie. It is the strong delusion that the Lord allows on the planet. Why? Because they do not believe the truth. What do you mean? What's the truth? Well, we've abandoned the truth. The truth is that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. And the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Now we can believe that, because that is the truth, that Jesus spoke everything. He is before all things, and he holds all things together. Or we can believe the lie of Darwinism, that everything that we see here just happened by chance over billions of years of mindless evolution. Not buying that for a second.
Yeah.
So we've left the truth, we've embraced the lie, and here we are. So God sends the strong delusion because that's what you guys want to believe anyway. So he allows it. He allows it to happen.
Do you think this World War III that's just starting up here is part of their coming down and being the saviors of humanity?
Look, I think this is a classic wag the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know what we're really looking at yet. Do I believe anything our media tells us? Absolutely nothing anymore.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Not a stinking thing. Oh, we got to send money to the Ukrainian people, blah, 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 blah. Well, last time I checked, there were a bunch of biolabs in the Ukraine. Last time I checked, Soros installed Zelensky, or was responsible for getting Zelensky in there. Last time I checked, Ukraine was absolutely corrupt in so many ways, it's not even funny. Mm-hmm. Last time I checked, which wasn't that long ago, Ukraine had sort of slid into the decadent West. So I don't know what we're looking at here. I really don't. But do I believe the narrative? No, I don't. Not for 1 second. Not for 1 second.
Right. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't know what's going on. I think it's part of a plan of some sort. I don't know what it exactly is, and I think that is somehow being used in conjunction with the Nephilim or the fallen angels, that they're going to come down as the saviors of humanity by stopping a nuclear war.
I agree. Maybe one nuke will go off, and I've written about this. I've talked about it.
Or an EMP.
Maybe the one nuke that does go off, that triggers we're here now to stop all this. We created you, and now we need to intervene. And all the Darwinists would go, yay! We knew it all along. Yeah. And all the Christians would go, yeah, I was kind of wondering about Jesus, and now I know. And we'll have this mass exodus from the church, the great falling away.
Yeah. Yeah, I say it's
wrong.
Yeah, I hope so too, but it doesn't line for me. It lines up the way that we're just saying that it probably will happen that way. It's too obvious once you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, and when you have I heard you say earlier, the guidebook to the supernatural. When you have that by your side and you're studying it and you are really immersing yourself in that information and that spiritual understanding and love that you receive, then you can really discern truth from lies. Yeah. So, all right. So do you want to let everyone know where they can find you? And of course, I'll have all the links in the description.
Yeah. On the trail with LA, on the trail with LA.com.
All right. Well, there you have it, everybody. The great LA Marzulli. Make sure you stay tuned after the interview for our little outro. All right, so we'll say goodbye for now. Bye, everybody. All right, everyone. So there you have it. You just heard the great LA Marzulli, and we had a wonderful conversation. And I am looking forward to many more conversations with Mr. Marzulli. He is, that first 10 minutes, he broke down like everything that I've gone through in the last 2 years. Yeah. And he was like, I was just like, wow, okay, yeah, check mark. So what did you think? You were a bit quiet in this one because
I was taking a lot of notes. I didn't find an entrance.
Yeah, it was
between the two of them. They were like so in their flow. There was no entrance for me.
Yeah, sorry. There were so many different points that I wanted to keep bringing up, and of course, you don't want to interrupt the guest. So every time he would say like a new point, I'm like, oh yeah, and I wanted to hop in. So sorry I didn't get you in there on this one, my love.
That's okay.
All right. So yeah, I mean, this was a great conversation. I can't believe that, when you talk to somebody who is as well versed, I mean, he is the preeminent researcher into fallen angels and Nephilim.
Yeah, and it's exciting that he wants to interview you.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Very exciting. Yeah, I know. That's so the really interesting part to me is when he said he had spirit guides and had his third eye open, he was with a guru for 3 years and all of that stuff. And that was when I heard that. I didn't know that until, getting prepared for the interview. Of course, listen to a bunch of his stuff. And that was something that was like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. So that opening up with that, I think it's very important for the audience to know that it's not somebody who has been indoctrinated into Christian ways of thinking, that this is someone who was a spiritual person on spiritual paths who was then saved out of that by Christ. Similar, not, I mean, it happened to me not in a similar fashion, but it's very, very awesome when you find people who have done that, who are your elders, who have been where you are and are now at peace. He said it was 3 years of spiritual warfare for him. I mean, it's been over a year now for me. That's been I mean, craziness, the amount of spiritual warfare that I have had to put up with. So, and part of that is why he wants to interview me, because of me being saved by Jesus Christ. I mean, I would love to be a part of one of his movies or documentaries. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what were you just writing down over there?
I didn't get to ask him about that goddess Mora thing that we were talking about earlier. I wanted to ask him more about that, and I wanted to ask him more about his UFO sighting experience when he was younger, because it's very similar to yours.
Yeah.
And
well, and people,
I did homework. I was ready. I just couldn't get in.
Yeah. So he had an experience. Do you want to tell the experience?
No, I mean, he just saw a UFO with some friends, and they talked about it. And then later on, those friends either didn't remember or didn't want to talk about that experience. And that reminded me of you seeing your UFO, with your friends. And then later they forgot or they didn't remember. So it was very similar that one person remembered and the rest of everybody did not.
Right.
I wonder what causes that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It is
or why it happens that way. Is that so that it's harder for other people to believe because, only one person remembers out of a group?
Yeah, it is a mystery. And with me, I thought that maybe, they did some kind of, Men in Black flash or something while I was looking down, rolling.
That could be it.
Rolling the blunt. But I mean, when I looked up is when they came over. It was like, I don't know. It wasn't a significant sighting. That's the thing. For that sighting, it wasn't significant for me, other than, I mean, it was obviously a UFO. It was swirling, it was different colors, and it was moving like a helicopter, but it was silent. And then it came to us rather quickly.
Right.
So, I mean, it wasn't like...
I don't think it's uncommon for people to forget what they saw.
Yeah, but why? Yeah, why is
other
that?
people, like when you're in a group.
Why is that, though?
I don't know, but it seems to be a common theme.
Smokestack on Mystical American Patriot Society, one time he said that people... It's like you don't have somewhere to hang it. Like if you go in your kitchen and you want to hang up your apron, but you don't have a hanger, then you shove it in the drawer and then forget about it because you don't have somewhere to hang it. It's like that's the kind of thing. It's like you don't have that memory. You don't have anywhere to put it in you. So it kind of just like falls down and just gets shoved under everything. And maybe that is kind of it. I know that these entities do block you from memories, and when I talked to Nathaniel Gillis, that unlocked a very significant event in my life, and I was dealing with that for a good day and a half, 2 days, where I was just like, I was drained spiritually. It was not fun.
And could it be that some people don't have a place to hang it because they don't even think that what happened just actually happened, because it doesn't feel like it could be something real, so they
Can't
throw it
register.
away. It doesn't register at all.
Yeah. I think that's a very likely possibility. I really do. This world is just crazy.
My notes are a little random. You know.
Well, I mean, that's crazy. He has that skull. It's a replica he has in his home, but that skull, it's like, man, that's just weird.
Ooh.
Oh, you got the chills big time, huh?
Biggins.
Yeah. So it's just weird to have. I mean, what is that? And there's different. So these Bible Nephilim, it's very strange because Nephilim doesn't necessarily mean giant, as we talked to Ken May, and he was very much saying, it doesn't necessarily mean that. Well, apparently there's 4 different groups of Nephilim mentioned,
tribes or something.
yeah, specifically in the Bible. And now maybe there may be more, but I'm aware of 4, and they all mean something. I wish I had it in front of me.
Do you
I'm
know
not
what the
prepared.
4 that you or no?
No, that's what I'm saying. I wish I had
Well,
it
we
in
know
front
that
of me.
one would be the Horites that he mentioned.
The cave dwellers, yeah.
Right.
Then there's other ones that are the buzzing ones, which might be like some insectoid type of thing.
Like swarms, like bees, like things like that.
Maybe gargoyles. That might be another one. I don't know, like what else. I forget what the other 2 are, but it's just so wild, that it's all there in the Bible. All of it is there, and we're not told about it, and we don't study it that way. It's just weird, man. So, do you have? And are you looking it up?
I was trying to look it up quickly because I was curious of the other names.
All right, so.
But I'm not coming up with something very quickly.
Yeah, I forget what they are. I wish I would have had that up. I mean, it's no big deal. But I mean, people can find out that you can look up in the Bible. It's in the Old Testament, I guess. So maybe another time we'll be able to present that for you. But
yes.
All right. Yeah, so I did want to say, I started my Patreon, which is patreon.com/goodness over darkness. You guys can sign up there. I have 3 different options right now: a $1, a $3, and a $5 option. And the $5 option will obviously get you everything, whereas the $3 option will get you some of it, and the $1 will get you a little bit less. But I do a Bible study every Sunday, and that is free for everyone to join. You just have to send me an email with the subject Bible study, and you can be part of our Bible study. We had the first one this past Sunday. That was a very good time. It was a lot of informative kind of stuff happening. It was some of the stuff was new to me as I was, my brain was processing things as we're going over it. And that was a great fun time for me. What did you think about the Bible study?
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was still reading, and I'm reading that there may be many more than 4 different groups.
Yeah, I think there's like 20 some actually,
there's a
but
bunch.
right. But there was 4 specific ones that
been kind of doing my own prolonged Bible studies every day this week, so I'm all over the place with information and notes and just connecting dots in my own daily. So
yeah, and that's how you have to do. You have to have your own revelations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that.
Right. So if you guys want to watch that Bible study, that will be on the Patreon. That is for the $3 and up options. You can watch the Bible studies. Uh, I mean, it's a lot of great information in there. Nomad was part of it. I don't want to say everybody because not everyone's, puts themselves out in public. That's why it's behind a paywall because I want to keep you guys somewhat private, but I think that people could benefit from it. So I think that if people are coming to pay to see it, then
I really liked our group that last week. That was a great group to have a discussion with.
yeah, and everyone, you're all invited. It's not exclusive, and you don't have to pay to join. And I did want to shout out my Patreon member. So we had Hannah Allen. She was my first Patreon member. Shout out to Hannah. She is a client of mine. She is an amazing woman. Much love to you, Hannah. Then we have Angie A. She is also very wonderful, and we've emailed and we've DM'd. She is so wonderful. And we got Debbie Hanks. She signed up during the Q&A, so shout out to Debbie. She is amazing as well. And Debbie actually, like I said, she signed up during the live Q&A, which is part of the $5 option that you can be part of the discussion on the live Q&A. So it's not just, just me, but I mean, I was the only one on at this time because no one else hopped in at the moment. But I did put it on YouTube and I think I will for a little bit longer continue to do it on YouTube. But if anyone wants to join the conversation, then you have to be a Patreon member in order to do that because the link will be up in the Patreon. And the last member I wanted to shout out was Ben Langford. So I want to thank you all so much for signing up for my Patreon. And it's something where God wanted me to open up to be able to receive because there are people who want to assist and support financially. So I have that, and I don't want to be someone who puts half of an episode behind a paywall. I don't want to be someone who puts some full episodes behind a paywall. So I think the things that I'm doing right now, they're things that I'm comfortable with having behind a paywall, getting a little extra for it. This is a lot of hard work that Mimi and I do. This is a lot of money that I've put into all of this setup. I mean, everything you guys see here, I bought all of this I'm a truck driver, I still work. So this is stuff that I buy out of my own pocket. I don't ask for money for any of the stuff. I've multiple cameras, the computer, the multiple audio boxes, microphones, lights, the background, the green screen, all the different knickknacks you see on the shelf there. I buy all of it, and I'm not asking for money for it. I'm just saying that it becomes expensive. So God was like, okay, you can be open to receiving. So I do the Patreon now, and of course you can donate if you like on PayPal or Venmo as well. So we're on my website. You can do straight through Stripe, and if you go on my website, emmanuelkingman.com, at the bottom there is a donate button. You can go ahead and donate through that. And you guys can also hit me up for some therapeutical conversations. That is
therapeutical, huh?
Therapeutical, yeah.
It's a new word. Okay.
Oh, is it a word?
I don't know. It is now.
All right,
therapeutical.
Whatever. But you can hit me up to have conversations, and I can help you with wherever you are. I am someone, and I know that I don't like the name deplorable, but deplorable Janet, she also is someone who has this ability to where you speak to somebody and then they feel this relief and that they are they are unburdened by whatever it was that they had on them. Well, that's an ability that I have, and that's kind of why I stopped the spiritual baptisms. Was God was like, no, you don't want to take on the life energy of people anymore the way you were doing. You want to be a little more hands off, allow them to do it, and be a guiding hand for them by speaking them through it. And I mean, I have some great reviews on my website. They're all completely organic. You guys can check them out. I even have one video testimonial from Malcolm. So, I mean, you guys check all that stuff out. I don't ask for money for my work. I don't put my work behind any paywalls because I don't want you to have to be a certain financial class to receive the information, because that's how I felt when was, well, I still kind of feel that way when I'm looking up things. Like, I don't want to have to pay for things, but I understand some of the things, but just not podcasting. You know, it's when I have a certain guest, you can just look up that guest and you can find them on a million different podcasts for free. So that's, to me, it's like, well, why am I going to put mine behind a paywall? I mean, I'm not judging anyone for it. I'm just talking about for my own self. I couldn't do that. So I do the Patreon and I do the other things with the Patreon because that is exclusive. That is going to be unique content that is just for those people who want to be part of it. So
options for everyone.
Yeah. And do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Yeah, I think that'll do it for us. Oh, I did just write this. I'm not going to put it out yet. I don't want to say too much about it, but I just wrote something that it's dense.
Will blow your mind.
Yeah, it blew me out of the water. It's not that I really wrote it. It was God wrote it through me. Not automatic writing, but just it was awesome. I'll be putting it out soon. I'm going to be going on and talking about it. Yeah, I shouldn't have brought it up yet, but it's going to be amazing.
That's all, folks.
Yeah, so that's
all.
That's going to do it. All right, we will talk to you later. Bye.